Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a postmenopausal woman, or you love a postmenopausal woman, and you want to help them love the body that they live in, you are in the right place. I am Lorri Zanoni, and I have been in this space of health and wellness for almost 40 years. One of the things, though, that I want you to know about me is that I love adventure. I love to be outdoors, and I love to participate in activities with my husband. We love to golf. We love to cycle. We rode our mountain bikes from Canada to Mexico. I love to snow ski, and I just love adventure. So, as part of my adventure, I find that my education and background in lifestyle medicine and preventive care helps me to understand you, particularly women, better. One of my very, very dear tenets is that I want to help empower you to be the best version of yourself, not only to love the body that you live in, so that you can go an adventure on your own, so that you can do the adventures in life that you want to do. And one of the things that helps me to do that is that I like to empower you to help you restore your own health. You are the expert of your own body. And as we look at different pillars in lifestyle medicine, we find that lifestyle means exactly that. It's what you can do for a lifestyle and a lifetime. And as we look at this menopausal, postmenopausal years, I want you to think about how many years do I have in this transition and in this stage? Can I use food as medicine? Can I use exercise and movement as a way of life? What about stress management, particularly in this period of my life? Restorative sleep, healthy connections, reduction of tobacco and alcohol. All of these pillars come together throughout our life, but particularly in this particular stage of women and postmenopausal. So, this is just a summary of the six pillars that I just mentioned. This is what lifestyle medicine is about. Many people ask me, what does it mean to be a specialist in lifestyle medicine? And I like to tell you that if it's lifestyle involved, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, things that we can fix with lifestyle, then I'm the person that wants to help you to improve your life. And it might be nutrition and it might be exercise, but how do we fit all of this together so that it becomes part of our lifestyle and part of our way of life? And if that's you and you've already been doing this as a part of your way in your life, but then you hit this roadblock, all of a sudden your body and your hormones are not working the way that they used to work. You were in your 40s and you were rock solid, non-stoppable. And then all of a sudden, boom, this roadblock hit. And now you want to know whose body am I living in? And trust me, I know this. I know firsthand what it's like. I am postmenopausal and I want to help you so that you can get to the stage where you love the body that you live in as well. So I want to start with this quote and I want you to think about it because it says that menopause is a time that a woman transforms from the fertile years into the wisdom years. The menopause transition is one of the most powerful experiences in a woman's life, a time for reverence and respect for her body, her fertility, her intuition, and her wisdom. When I read that, it is such a powerful statement about this period in transition in life. And I think we have some societal misunderstandings about menopause and postmenopause. And if we are lucky enough, and I say this in all sincerity, if we are lucky enough to make it past menopause, we are going to spend 1/3 of our life in this transition. And we look at that as wisdom years. We have made it this far. Our body has served us well. It has served us through fertility, through children. Maybe we didn't have children, but we still had a fertility period. And now our bodies are no longer in that period. We are now in our wisdom years. We're in the time where we are to enjoy our life, enjoy our grandchildren, enjoy our pets, enjoy the people that are around us, to live that adventure that we want to live. And I want you to think about this quote from Dr. Michelle Woolhouse as the setting and tone for a shift in a mindset that not is it who is this and what is my body doing to me, but how do I transition into this new period of my life? So I want to share a study with you. And in this study, they looked at American women and they compared those that were of European descent versus Japanese descent. And the women who were of Japanese American descent had less than 1 in 4 of them did not have hot flashes, versus the European American women had hot flashes. And one of the things that they came about is they looked at different factors. They looked at their dietary factors, and Japanese descent women had a higher soy intake. So was it the phytoestrogens that may have helped to reduce the intensity of those hot flashes? Was it their other dietary, cultural differences that they had a higher intake of fruits and vegetables and fish, and maybe that played a role? Is it genetics in that their ancestors and Japanese descent may have actually influenced how they respond hormonally? Was it their cultural influences? Was it the attitude towards menopause? Again, how do we look at menopause? Is it this thing that's taboo and we don't talk about, particularly post-menopause? I had so many women who told me, I don't want to come to the post-menopause class because there's nothing else I need to learn. My body is in disarray. And that is where we need to talk about it so that we can change this. The social norms and the practices that were related to the Japanese American women, they contributed more with exercise and healthy eating habits. Did that have an influence? Potentially. Was it that the Japanese American women participated more physically? They had more movement in their body. They also had less alcohol intake and were less non-smoker or more non-smokers. They smoked less. So when we look at this, was it an opportunity that the Japanese American women looked at the post-menopausal stages differently than the European American women? Was it more of a stage of wisdom and growth, more of an empowerment period in their life, versus sometimes people look at this as a decline in a woman's life? So as we look at this study, I want you to think about, again, we're going to shift your mindset to where this is an empowerment period and it is an opportunity for wisdom and growth. And that's where I want you to be with me as we talk during this time. Because as I said earlier, if we are lucky and fortunate, don't want to say it so much as luck, because it could be good genetics, it could be our lifestyle that we have lived up to this point, it could be the grace of God that has brought us to this period in our life. If we don't get to postmenopause, it's because we didn't make it in this life to that period in time. My own mother did not make it to her postmenopausal stage. So women who are fortunate get to be in this club. We are in the postmenopausal club. And whether it's you or someone that you love, someone that is dear to your heart, I want you to think about that it doesn't have to be a suffering stage. It doesn't have to be this barely surviving, and I'm so angry at my body because who is this person in this body now? What has my body done to me? I want you to think about it is how can I shift and what are some tweaks that I can do as I adjust to this new period? And I want you to learn to live your best life in what I call the post-menopausal club. Because again, it's a stage that we should be fortunate that we have reached. So, as I think about the way society looks at menopause and postmenopause and perimenopause, we're either in fertility stage or we're in menopause. And that's really life. But I want you to think about is menopause is really just one day because we're in fertility stage and then we start to become into perimenopause where we start to reduce the amount of hormones that we're making. And we feel that every woman feels that a little bit differently. And we build up to this one period of time, one day, where we have lost our cycle. And I say, once we've lost our cycle, that's the end of menopause. But technically, we go for 1 year. And if you have not had a cycle for 1 year, then you are technically postmenopausal. So once we've reached that postmenopausal stage, now, depending on what that age is, and on average, or 53, 55, perimenopause can start at 45. I've heard of some women starting as early as 35, particularly if it's surgery induced, women who have hysterectomies. So, as we look at the different symptoms, now I'm postmenopausal, 55. Yeah, some women can go a little bit later, but on average, let's just say at 55. I still have 30 to 40 years left in my life, hopefully. That could be up to 1/3 of my life. And I don't want to live 1/3 of my life in anger at my body. I want to love my body. I want to respect my body, respect for everything it has done for me up to this point. And even if I'm not at a stage where I absolutely love my body, how can I shift this to figure out what works for me? Because we are each individual as women. And I have found in working in this postmenopausal stage with women that I have tools in a toolbox to help you. Some things, some women, they pick one thing and it works right away. And others, it takes us multiple times to try different tools before we figure out what works. And that's okay because I'm here to help you figure out the individual plan for you and find out what works for you. I want you to look at this stat because 85% of women in perimenopause to postmenopause go to a provider and say, I have XYZ symptoms and I'm looking for some help. That could be from hot flashes, weight gain, brain fog, uh, lack of clarity, irritability, mood swings, frozen shoulder, muscle aches and joint pain. The number of things that we have now in symptoms for menopause, perimenopause to postmenopause is now reported over 70 different symptoms. Unfortunately, only 10% of women are being treated with something to help them. And I want to shift that. And I want to shift it for you because I want to help empower you to be a better advocate for yourself, particularly during this period of time. So these are some things I mentioned. We also get sleep challenges, heart palpitations, digestive issues, increased anxiety and depression. Again, over 70 different reported symptoms between perimenopause and postmenopause. And women tell me, and I have said it myself, whose body am I living in? What happened to the old me? And I want to tell you that the old you might not be the same anymore. And that's okay. We want to know who is the new me. What is this stage of life going to bring to me? And I say this to people all the time. We do not have to be who we were 5 minutes ago. We can choose to change. Now, our body has chosen to change for us, and how we shift our mindset means that we can also change and look at how do I look at this new person, this new body, my new systems, the way that they're working, and how can I help them and help my body so that it works best for me. And that's why I'm here. So, as we look at what's happening with our hormones, again, there's some societal misunderstandings. Nobody wants to talk about the menopausal stage and the postmenopausal stage. It's like it's taboo. I have women who tell me, I reached out to my mom or my grandma or my aunts, my sisters to figure out what happened to you when you went through the stage because I don't remember you talking about it. And they said, well, I didn't. We didn't talk about that. And then some of them don't remember because they have blocked it out. And I want us to change and shift the conversation so that we are openly talking about this, that it is not a taboo subject for us to talk about. Because our hormones are declining in a very chaotic way. And if we don't talk about it, then we feel like it's just us, that we're the only one that's going through this, and we're not. Women all over the world are experiencing perimenopause to postmenopausal stages. Like I said, hopefully. But we have this team of organs in our system that control our hormones. As we are young, our ovaries are producing more of our sex hormones. As we get into perimenopause, the ovaries start to shut down in producing these sex hormones, and our adrenals start to take over. It can be complicated because now, particularly if we are high stressed, the stress is impacting the adrenals trying to make sex hormones. And sex hormones are not the only hormones in our system that are impacting us in this stage of life. And we're going to talk about some other hormones that we can impact. But one of the things that I love to look at is to test your hormones with a Dutch test. And it's a dried urine culture that I send to your house. And then we look at your sex hormones, we look at your adrenal function, we look at your toxins, we look at your metabolites, your serotonin, your dopamine, your melatonin. We look at a variety of hormones and what is happening particularly with you. Because then what that does is it helps me to look at you as an individual and gives us a blueprint to move forward. So if you've never heard about the Dutch test, then reach out to me because I would love to have a Dutch test sent to your home and let us start to figure out a plan for you. Now, I said there are a multitude of hormones that come into play, particularly as our body starts to change. And sometimes, again, it can be a very chaotic stage in life for us. We become stressed. If we are still working in that perimenopausal stage, even into postmenopausal stage. Women are still working outside of the home or they're working hard inside the home. Now, if that is a stressful life, as we increase stress, we increase cortisol. Cortisol has been known to be the stress hormone. As cortisol increases, our blood sugar increases and we become more insulin resistant. As we increase our blood sugar, our insulin starts to increase. That increased insulin leads to that insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to an increase of fat storage. Now, this last slide is a little bit smaller, but I want to read it out loud because increased insulin and increased cortisol can lead to a decline of sex hormones, insomnia, hair loss, anxiety, hot flashes, brain fog, weight loss resistance, a low sex drive, low libido, muscle loss, vaginal dryness. This is what I say is a dreaded cycle. I don't know anyone who wants all of these symptoms. So I want to go back and I want to decrease my insulin and decrease my cortisol. And how do I do that? One of the things I said is that we might have some digestive issues. Our gut is impacted. And it can particularly, we've had a lot of conversations in the last 5 to 8 years about the microbiome of our gut. We have multiple microbiomes in our body. And that's really the ecosystem of particularly our gut. We now know that our gut is, we refer to it as the second brain. Our vagus nerve has a direct correlation between our gut and our brain. If we are stressed, our brain is sending signals to our gut. Gut is sending signals to the brain. Highly stressed, we need to figure out what's going on. We might have a little bit more gas. We might have a little bit more bloating. We can also have diarrhea. We can have food intolerances when foods we used to eat all the time, now we're having a reaction to. As we age, we become more intolerant to foods. We lose our digestive enzymes as we age. So we can't break down those foods like we used to. We might be able to take digestive enzymes, and that might be a quick answer, which is something I can help you with also. But we might need a food intolerance test to figure out what are the foods that now my body is not digesting, that it's not metabolizing, and it's not working inside my system. If you think that that might be the issue for you, then let's talk about it. And then we can set up a plan for the foods that may not be working for you. So as I look at nutrition and I look at how does this all come into play with reducing cortisol and reducing insulin, the number one thing that I tell people is to reduce sugar. And trust me, I know this is not easy. It's also not hard, right? We want to choose our hard, but sugar is addictive. And it's very difficult, trust me, I know, to reduce sugar, but it can be done. I personally have reduced my sugar for 6 months. And I'm going to tell you a story in a little bit about me. But at first, it was much harder. The first 30 days was really hard to reduce that sugar. But every day I was committed to myself. No one else was committed to me but me. And I'd love to share tips with you on how we can reduce that sugar. And maybe we need a little bit of extra supplements. Maybe we need to look at, are we taking in more protein and more healthier fats to help reduce the sugar intake? But when I'm looking at carbohydrates, I want to focus on nature's carbs, things that are growing in the ground, our plants, our fruits, our vegetables, our legumes, things that are less processed. They don't come in a box and in a bag. Those are the carbohydrates that I want to focus on. If I have a little sweet tooth, then maybe I'm having some berries. Maybe I've made some homemade whipped cream with some coconut milk. But these are recipes that I share with you so that I can help you if you have that sugar craving, particularly in those first 30 days. Once you get past the 30 days, it becomes much easier. Not just for me, but I have seen this with other clients. We want good sources of protein, particularly as we age. I have looked at studies for both men and women over the age of 60. And the recommendations that they have for the RDA recommendations, studies after studies show us that that's not enough protein. We need more protein than what is recommended. And by the time we look at some of these recommendations, it comes to about half of our body weight in grams as the goal. If I weigh 100 pounds, that's 50 grams of protein a day as a goal. That doesn't mean I get there tomorrow. It means it's my goal. If I weigh 200 pounds, it means 100 grams of protein is my goal. And this can become difficult, but I'm here to help you so that we look at good, clean, high quality protein sources that will help to keep your body more satiated, to reduce the insulin, to reduce the cortisol. We want to look at an increased fiber intake. Again, when we're looking at nature's carbs, I'm increasing my fruits and vegetables and my legumes. When it comes to fiber, we have two different types of fiber. We have soluble and insoluble fiber, and I like to look at them both. But when we look at what's the goal, I want you to think about 25 to 30 grams a day. The average person gets about 12. So we're going to double what the average person gets. That doesn't mean you might already be at 25 grams. Maybe you're less than the average and you're at 5 grams a day. That doesn't mean I want you tomorrow to go to 25 grams if you're at 5 grams, because that's not the way that we're going to work. We're going to take this in baby steps. We're going to work towards this because remember, this is a lifestyle. And I want you to have a sustainable program that you can do for a lifetime. I want you to think about eating good fats. We have this stigma that fat makes us fat, which is not true. We need fat in our body. We need healthy fats in our body. So I want to help you to eat healthy fats, to look how to incorporate healthy fats into your day. So again, we're reducing the insulin and we're reducing cortisol. We're going to look at phytoestrogen foods. What are some foods that help to support estrogen? Estrogen is a natural anti-inflammatory, and many women don't know this. So when we lose estrogen in this perimenopause, postmenopausal stage, and particularly we're talking about postmenopause, we've lost most of our estrogen. So we've lost a natural anti-inflammatory that we had almost throughout our life. So it's really important that we focus on anti-inflammatory measures. This is why I say focus on anti-inflammatory foods, reducing sugar. These are the two things. Reducing sugar is key because sugar is an inflammatory food. It's an inflammation. It creates inflammation in our body. Creatine, there's a lot of new research now on creatine, particularly for postmenopausal women, to help them maintain muscle mass. Muscle mass and loss of muscle mass is a huge factor for postmenopausal women, which is why I want you eating clean, healthy sources of protein. We're going to talk about more about the research and studies and how this might impact you. Creatine might not be for you. Remember, we have a tool box with multiple tools in it, and it doesn't mean that everything is for you. Just like fasting. might not be for you. But I want to talk about, I have a 90-day program, and we talk about why fasting is so important as a lifestyle, particularly for postmenopausal women, and to help us reduce our insulin and reduce our cortisol. Now, fasting can be for everyone, but as women, we need to do it different than men. And I want to help you to understand how, as a woman, do I do this differently? Because a man's hormonal cycle is on a 24-hour cycle. A woman's hormonal cycle prior to postmenopause is on a 30-day cycle. So we obviously, even when we're cycling, have a different hormonal cycle than a male does, who pretty much stays in a 24-hour cycle. Now, while it gets reduced, they do not take the deep decline that women do. And I have found great success in a fasting lifestyle. This fasting 511, fast for 5 days at a certain period, 1 day of an extended fast, and then 1 day of no fasting. We talk about this in my 90-day program because fasting, I believe, needs a coach. I believe that in order to be successful, I have found women who join our program are more successful when they have a coach to help them. That doesn't mean you can't do it on your own and you're really smart and you can figure it out. But with the experience that I have, particularly in multiple subjects for postmenopausal women, I can help you fast forward in 90 days what might take you a year to 2 years to figure out. And at this period of time in our life, I would rather fast forward on the fast track so that I have more information and more science-based information. Because as a doctor of preventive care and lifestyle medicine, my goal is to make sure that what we are doing is science-based and individual work for you. So I said we'd talk about some foods that support estrogen. And some of these you may have heard of. You may know that soy is a good estrogen supporter, is a phytoestrogen, flaxseed, chickpeas, nuts. But several fruits and vegetables are also high in phytoestrogens and helping to support our estrogen levels. The opposite, we have three different sex hormones. Some people lump thyroid into it as a sex hormone, but I consider our sex hormones as our estrogen as women, progesterone, and testosterone. And yes, as women, we do produce testosterone, not as much as men, but we do. But progesterone is more the calming hormone. It was with progesterone, it's actually what helps while we have a cycle to reduce shed the lining so that we start a cycle. And when we have high stress, we might need more progesterone foods so that we can help calm the body. As we get later in life in this postmenopausal stage, progesterone is really good to help us sleep and to manage our sleep. So if sleep challenges are one of the things that you might be having issues with, maybe we're eating more progesterone supporting foods. So we have some of these starchy root vegetables, such as our sweet potatoes. We might look at, again, flax seeds are kind of both. They both help progesterone and estrogen. But maybe pumpkin seeds and eggs and chicken and spinach and broccoli. We have a variety of foods that can help support that progesterone level. Some of the things that we can also do that are part of a lifestyle is particularly, I want to help reduce your stress levels at this stage in life. But one of the things that helps us to reduce stress, to reduce cortisol, reduce insulin, is to make sure that we are on a regular sleep schedule. And as sleep challenges come up, I want you to think about some things that are in your lifestyle plan that we can do. And we have found, so melatonin, I want you to think about it at night and then back into the morning. We have a 24-hour circadian rhythm, and certain hormones turn on and turn off throughout our 24-hour cycle. And melatonin turns on at night to help us sleep, turns off in the morning so that we wake up and start our day. Now, to help us start our day, we want to try to get light, natural light, not light from the lights in our rooms, but natural sunlight. We want to get that light on our eyes within 10 minutes of waking for about 10 minutes. If you can get the red light from the sunrise, that's even better. That red light is really good to help turn off the melatonin. But if you can't, sometimes I tell people lay in bed, and if you get up to use the restroom, but you're not quite ready to wake up yet, but it's about time to wake up, turn your blinds and shutters to where they're open to allow some natural light to come into your room. Let that be the start of the light on your eyes. Then go outside if you can, look through a window, but get that natural light onto your eyes so that melatonin can naturally shut itself off. In the same hand, on the nighttime piece of that, I want to look at the sunrise or the sunset. Can I get sunset on my eyes? Can I take a walk during sunset? I love to take sunset walks to set myself up for better sleep. I'm getting that red light, which is turning on the melatonin to get my body ready for sleep. In the morning, it's turning off the melatonin to get my body ready to wake up. But by turning off that melatonin naturally in the morning, it's also prepping me for a better night's sleep. So both times we want to get light on our eyes. The other thing is that we want to eat during daylight hours. And for some people, this is a challenge. But the reason that I tell you this is because particularly those that eat late at night, as melatonin starts to rise and get our bodies ready for sleep, and this can happen 2 hours prior to sunset. So depending on where you are, that could be right now in the summer, could be about 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, um, somewhere between 5:30 to 7 o'clock is about 2 hours before a sunset based on where you are. So as this 2 hours prior to sunset, melatonin is starting to ramp up and starting to turn itself on. If I eat closer to dark, as it's getting dark, now I'm creating insulin in my body because glucose has been produced from my meal and insulin starts to rise. Melatonin does not want to compete with insulin. So guess what happens? As insulin starts to rise, melatonin starts to come back down because it says, oh, it's time for the body to still be working and doing things. So I must not be needed right now. So eating later at night and in dark hours can impact our sleep. While this might be a challenge, I want you to think about how can I move my meals, my dinner meal, closer to lighter hours instead of darker hours. The other thing we want to do is reduce our blue light. Blue lights come from our screens, our TVs, our computers, our phones. This blue light impacts our sleep schedules. As our brain, again, thinks it must be time to stay awake. So I ask people to reduce your blue light 60 to 90 minutes prior to bed. Again, I don't expect you to do this tomorrow. Work baby steps into it. Maybe you're used to looking at the computer, looking at the screen, looking at your phone 5 minutes before you go to bed. Can you turn it off 15 minutes before you go to bed? And when you turn it off 15 minutes the next night, can you do 20 minutes or 30 minutes and get used to that? And then maybe we work to 45 minutes and then we work to 60 minutes. But work yourself in a pace that's good for you. That doesn't mean I take a year to get to 60 minutes because then I'm not really trying very hard. But maybe it takes me a week or two to get there. And I'm slowly cutting off the times that I'm active on TV, computers, and phone. What can you do in that time? I've had people ask me, well, what am I supposed to do for an hour or an hour and a half before bed if I can't look at any of these things? I say, have healthy conversations with family members and partners that are in your home, and healthy conversations that do not create a rise in anxiety, that are pretty neutral conversations. Because what I don't want to do is to have the conversation that is going to create stress and anxiety, whether that's good stress or bad stress, right? Let them be neutral conversations and get family members used to neutral conversations an hour before bed. Talk about it with them. Guarding that last hour of sleep so that I'm not looking at my phone. And even if it's a social media post, I'm being stimulated, good or bad. It can impact my sleep. Maybe I take a warm shower, maybe take a cool shower, whichever one works better for you. Maybe I read with a physical book, not a blue light book, not my electronic device, unless I have some blue blocker glasses on or a blocker screen on there. But get used to actually a physical book. Go online and buy a book. Go to the library and check out a book. Go to a book exchange and grab a book off a shelf. Learn to read, learn to journal. Maybe it's meditation and breath work that helps you at night to get ready for bed. There's a multitude of things that we can do in that 60 to 90 minutes prior to bed, and you find what works best for you. But one of the things I say is to set a routine. That means I wake and I sleep at the same time every day, whether it's during the week or on the weekends. And then that way my body gets used to when is bedtime and when is wake time. Now, there might be an occasion where I stay up later. So maybe I sleep in early or later. Maybe I need to get up earlier for an event. But on average, try to create a routine. And again, maybe if I love to get into the shower 30 minutes before bed, it helps to calm my body. Make that part of your routine also, whether it's journaling, writing down the 3 things that you're grateful for that happened that day. Everyone can think of 3 things. If you can't think of anything, think about that my heart is still beating, that my legs are still working, if they are. I'm able to speak with my mouth. I'm able to see with my eyes. I'm able to hear with my ears. What are the things that you're truly grateful for? Try not to repeat them. Try to think of new things. But if at first you can't think of anything, repeating those same things so that I know that I am grateful for the body that I live in right now. As we look at supplementation, supplementation can be a key part in our postmenopausal years. But it's not the first step that I go to. But so many people say, well, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? What's the number one thing that I should do? And we have a 90-day program that talks about 12 weeks of what should I do. But then people tell me, well, I'm on certain supplements. Are these helping me, not helping me? I don't know until I do lab work. I don't know until I look at your Dutch test. But the number one thing that I will tell you that impacts particularly postmenopausal women is vitamin D. And I have found, particularly if weight gain is a big issue for you, most women will not lose weight if their vitamin D is not at an optimal level. Now, what is optimal? I say optimal is at 70. I have worked with women whose providers told them that they are normal at 30. That's not where I want you. And and I don't want you in this stage of your life to be normal. I want you, you might say, well, I'm just looking for a new normal, but I want you to live an optimal life. I want you to live a life that you want to wake up to, that you are so excited to wake up in the morning. And vitamin D is involved in over 1,000 processes in our body. And we can get it, the three S's, from sunshine, from sardines, and from supplementation. But I don't tell you to go straight to supplementation. You can get sunlight for free, maybe, depending on what area that you live in. So you can go out early in the morning when there's no, when the sun is not high and directly over. Early morning sun is best if we're going to get sun to convert to vitamin D on our body. I don't want any sunscreen on my body, which helps to allow the sun to come into my body and convert into the vitamin D that I need. Not everybody can do that. So maybe we need to eat fatty fishes, sardines, and mackerel. I tried the sardines. They weren't for me. I have other clients who try the sardines and they love them. Um, we have a recipe that we use for sardine tostadas and people love them. So it just depends. And then the last piece is the supplementation, but we do blood tests first before we do any kind of supplementation to make sure, where are you? Does turmeric work? Yes, it's an anti-inflammatory. Phytoestrogen foods? Yes, we talked about them. Omega-3 fatty acids, anti-inflammatories? Yes, absolutely. Pre and probiotics? Yes, great for the gut. But I also want postbiotics. We talk about all of the different things that help the gut. Magnesium, yes. Can magnesium help with your sleep? Absolutely. Glycinate is better for sleep and anxiety, but we have some other forms. There's actually 8 or 9 forms of magnesium. Which one do you take? I help you to understand which one is the best for me. Do I need a melatonin supplement? Maybe not. Let's work with melatonin in its natural turn on and turn off stages that we spent so much time talking about. Is DHEA important? Yes, but why? We talk about all of these things in supplementation, but I have so many people who want to go straight to supplementation, and I want you to go more to lifestyle, the food and drinks that I eat and then I don't eat, the habits that I create throughout the day to help me become a better person, to love the body that I live in. So, what can we do? We can focus on muscle mass. I talked about having exercise and movement as a daily way of life. Particularly in our perimenopause stages, we want to focus on strength training. We are have muscle atrophy. We are losing muscle mass. I want to help us focus on maintaining our muscle mass. Walking is an amazing exercise, particularly after meals. I love to walk early in the morning with sunrise, and I love to walk late in the evening for sunset. Also, if I've had a larger meal, I will walk and let that insulin move through my larger muscles. Our muscles love glucose. Let them get the insulin and move in those muscles instead of being stored. HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, that's what that stands for, has been shown to work great for a multitude of weight loss, muscle mass, heart improvement, cardiovascular functional improvement. How do we do it? We're usually doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, maybe for 7 to 14 minutes. I've looked at some studies that show 4-minute cycles twice a week that had great impact on the body. They also incorporated 1 day of strength training with that HIIT training, and then maybe 2 days of cardio with that study. But we look at the different ways that we can help our body to maintain our muscle mass. We want to look at our hydration. Are we hydrated or are we dehydrated? Did you know that 75% of adults are chronically dehydrated? That's most of us. And hydration is a daily plan. It is not something that we look at weekly and think about, oh yeah, I had so much water. People tell me I drink a ton of water. I always say I want to know in ounces. Show me a container. Show me how much you drink and how many times you refill that container. And then when we break it down, that ton is not really a ton. We thought it was. We thought it was a lot. Minimum, we used to talk about 64 ounces, which was 8 ounce cups. That's usually a bare minimum. I like to look more at about half of your body weight in ounces. So again, if I'm 100 pounds, then I want at least a minimum of 50 ounces. Now, that's a little bit less than the 64 ounces, but it depends on my environment. Is my environment hot? Is it humid? Am I exercising? Am I moving? And I want you to be moving. So then you're going to have a little bit more. If I'm 200 pounds and I'm drinking 100 ounces, I will tell you, I just came back from living in Arizona for 2 months. I was taking in about 100 to 125% of my body weight every day because I was in a hot, very hot climate and dry. I could feel my body needing more water. Now, hormone replacement therapy is also called HRT or bioidentical. We sometimes see it as BHRT. It may not be for everyone. The original studies that we had on HRT in 1998 to 2002 were misleading. There was some information that wasn't given to us until now in the later years. But we do know that it can decrease our risk of cardiovascular disease. It can help us with a lot of these 70 reported symptoms that we talked about. We'll talk about hormone replacement therapy. Again, it's not for everyone, but we know more now about why estrogen and progesterone and testosterone might be helpful for some people. Maybe it's a bioidentical of those. So we'll talk about some of these things in our 90-day program. But what are some things that you can do? And these are some things that we talk about in our 90-day program, but they're things that you can do on your own. Because I said in our 90-day program, we will fast forward you in 3 months. You'll have guided support, that things that it might take you a year. I've seen women who want to do it on their own. And a year later, they're coming back and saying, okay, I tried some things, they didn't work. I'm ready to do the 90-day program. But you want to regulate and stabilize your blood sugar. Remember, decreasing insulin and decreasing cortisol. We want to bring down that inflammation. One of the things we also want to look at is our toxic load. What are we exposed to? Is it in our shampoos, our lotions, our cleaning products, our laundry soaps? Do we have artificial fragrances? What can we look at? Is it our cookware? If you're still cooking with Teflon, I want to ask you to please replace those pans. When that bottom layer is being scraped off, that is being scraped off into the food that you're eating. We now know better. This is not a shame or a guilt. This is a learning opportunity. And when we know better, we do better. So we look at eating healthy oils, not the bad seed oils, We want to reduce our corn oil intake. We want to reduce our vegetable oil intake, our cottonseed oil intake, our sunflower seed oil intake. And we want to eat more avocado oils, more extra virgin olive oils, more coconut oils. We want to eat more of the healthy fat oils. We want to make sure that all of our omega oils are in balance. That means both 3, 6, and 9. We want to focus on 3 particular organs: our liver, our gut, and our adrenals, because our liver helps to break down estrogen metabolites. And we have 2 that are harmful and 1 that's helpful. We can find which ones you have more of in the Dutch test. I don't know if you know this, but 25% of the world's population has fatty liver disease. 25% of our entire world, which also includes children. And you know why we find is because they're consuming too much sugar, too much alcohol, and too many unhealthy fats. And what happens is our liver is such a great detox organ. Our liver is an amazing organ. It does so much for our body, but it can still function at 20% capacity. So sometimes we don't know that our liver is not working for 10, 20, 30 years down the road. So let's take care of our liver now and focus on, how do I eat? Maybe I need more greens, more leafy greens, more kales, more spinaches, more collard greens, more cruciferous vegetables, more broccolis, more cauliflowers. These are things that we're going to talk about and how we incorporate them in our daily living. I want you to look at the medications that you're taking, alcohol that you may or may not be drinking. We want to nurture our liver and help it. If you're on a number of medications, I'm not telling you to get off those medications to protect your liver, but I'm saying let's look at those medications and see, can we reduce those medications with a change in lifestyle? And trust me, I've done this for years. I've been in this field almost 40 years, and I have seen a reduction in medications because of lifestyle changes. We want to look at our gut, right? Are we eating clean foods? Are we eating foods that are high in polyphenols, our prebiotics, our probiotics, our postbiotics? Are we eating fermented foods, our sauerkrauts, our kimchis, things that are really good, Jerusalem artichokes, onions, garlic for our gut? Want to look at our adrenals. Are we being good to our body? Truly, truly respecting this body as it's in this wisdom years. And again, maybe you want to take the Dutch test. Maybe you don't want to go through my 90-day program, but you want to take the Dutch test and then let me coach you through your Dutch test results. That's an option too. We're looking at 35 different tests in a Dutch test to figure out what's going on individually with you. And if you choose to want to do the Dutch test, I help you with your results. I help you with the next steps. And we go through a 30-day plan post-Dutch test. So that's an option too. If you say, I'd like to start with the Dutch test first before I do the 90-day program, you have options to choose. The one thing I want you to think about is I want you to be willing to make yourself a priority. Are you the priority? And how do you make yourself that priority? Remember, this is the only body that we get. While we're here on earth, this is the body that we have. And unless you know some secret that I don't, I want to take the best care of it that I can so that it serves me well. As I stated, I'm in my postmenopausal years. I'm in this next season of my life where I want to make sure that I make it and I love my body throughout this whole season. Now, I talked about my 90-day program that I have, and it is 90 days of health coaching and classes, weekly classes. We have weekly sessions. We have 12 weekly group sessions. You also get a 30-day video series, your first 30 days on Healthy Made Easy. How do I learn to read nutrition labels? How do I make daily habits and daily action steps as I go through this, not just the weekly, but what's in between the weekly? We have a group support page. You also get 90 days full of foundational wellness kit supplies. That might be a look at some lab testing. It might be some look at some supplements. We look at what's going on with you and a 3-day macronutrient and hydration analysis. What are you currently taking in and not taking in? How can we make some tweaks and changes to that? So normally for our 90-day program, it's $1,460. Today, for those of you that are with us, it is $900. And I'm telling you, it is such a bargain. For 90 days, 90 days, that's $10 a day, $300 a month for you to get daily action steps, weekly coaching, lab testing, a hydration and macronutrient analysis test, coaching and access that is not normally available at this price. Why am I doing it? Because I want to make sure that more postmenopausal women know what to do, that they feel like they're in this stage of wisdom and growth and not a stage of suffering. I've been there, I've done it, and I know that I can help you. What I want to know is if you're willing and ready, if this is the time for you to help yourself, then I am here for you. So people say, well, what kind of things are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about exercise. We're going to talk about sleep, stress management, some of the things we already talked about tonight, but we're going to go into depth every week. We're going to talk about toxin reduction, supplementation. Is it needed or not needed? We're going to spend a whole day on fasting. We're going to talk about meditation and breath work. We're going to talk about blood glucose and blood sugar and how to monitor and how to look at what might raise insulin resistance and where we want more insulin sensitivity. We're going to talk about a hormone hierarchy and hormone therapy. We're going to talk about how to engage more in nature and alternative therapies. And we're going to talk about shifting your mindset so that our small shifts equal big results. It's a lot. It's a change in lifestyle that I know has been so successful for women, and I want to help expand this program so that it's successful for more women. So more women love the body that they live in. More women talk about menopause and they talk about post-menopause as a daily conversation. I want more women to be willing to share their story. What is your story about menopause and beyond? What's happening with your body, good or bad? And how do we talk about that in a normal conversation, a regular conversation so that we remove the stigma, we remove that taboo label, and we talk more about this. I want you to be willing to talk more about your story. And we give a chance to talk about our story during our 12-week program. But I want you to, outside of our 12-week program, talk about it so that more people become more comfortable talking about it. I want to share a bit of my story with you because I was a stage in my life where things were not going well. And this is just recently. And so this is a very vulnerable stage and some very vulnerable photos that I'm going to share with you. So you can see in the Christmas photo, it was just December of 2024. from the date of this video was about 7 months ago. And my husband and I were at a Christmas party and we took a photo with Santa. And the next day, I looked at that photo and I said, "Who is that woman in that photo? That is not me." And I knew that I had been going through a stage that was not my best self. But I did not realize how it was impacting my body until I looked at this photo. And I looked at this photo of myself, and while I'm smiling on the outside, I was not happy on the inside. And I had told myself, I'm going to follow my own program. And that's what I did. On December 16th, I made a commitment to myself in the midst of the holidays to commit to a 90-day program for myself, to follow a program. And the first 30 days, I was down 12 pounds and I was excited. I was sleeping better. I was reducing my sugar cravings. Most of my first 30 days was lifestyle changes, but I did add in some supplements. Things where I found that I was missing and needed. My next 30 days, I focused more on what I was doing. My weight loss was slower in my second 30 days. And maybe I think I lost about 6 pounds in my second 30 days. So I did. I was at 18 pounds down at 60 days. At 90 days, I kept following my program. Again, I was an N of one, but I have done this for women for years and decided to apply it to myself. At 90 days, I was down 22 pounds. And that 22 pounds also included inches off of my belly, inches off of my entire body. As I stated, I just lived in Arizona for 2 months and we had our own private pool. I was hanging out at the pool and my husband took a photo of me. And I said, wow, look at the difference between 6 months and now. I'm down at this photo 25 pounds by following my own program, following what I know has worked. And I can truly tell you that today I stand before you, sit before you to say that I absolutely love the body that I live in. I still follow my program. I have created habits that I can do for a lifetime because I am a lifestyle specialist and I want to make sure that this is not a quick fix. 3 months, 90 days might even sound like a quick fix, but we practice principles that you can do for the rest of your life and for a lifetime because I want to make sure that you can live this life long past our 90-day program. And I have clients who come back and ask certain questions. They share photos, they share recipes, they share life, they share the adventures that they're now doing. And I love that piece of this. And you are always welcome to come back. But I want to make sure that after this 90 days, you have the tools in your toolbox to be able to move on and live your life, the best version of yourself. the way that you want to live. So as you think about, is now the time for me? My contact information is in front of you, and you may email me, you may phone me, you may text me, you may let me know that, yes, this is the time for me. I am ready to make a change. I am ready to make a transformation to live my best life. And I will be here to be your accountability partner. We have a group 90-day program that is starting on September 1st. And if you would like to be in the group program and have group support, then that is the time that you want to sign up. If you say, I'm not really into groups and I'd really like to just be one-on-one with you, then you know what? I'm doing that also because I want to help you. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, want to help more postmenopausal women realize that this is not a suffering club. This is not just a survival club. This is not a, oh, this is just part of life and I have to suffer. Because trust me, women have told me that. That's not true. You can love the body that you live in and you can be active and healthy, smiling, excited to get up every day because of who you're becoming and who you are. And I want to help you to be that woman. And if you're not in this postmenopausal stage, but you know someone and you want to help them, have them reach out to me, give them my information. And I want to thank you for joining me for this session to learn more about the postmenopausal woman and how we can all love the body that we live in. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to working with you. If I can help you answer any questions prior to knowing if this is still the best program for you, reach out to me. My calendar link is also listed on here, and I offer free 30-minute consults. Let's talk about it. Talk about anything that you want that I didn't answer here. If you want more questions answered for you, reach out to me any way that you want, by email, by calendar link, by text. Let me know that you have more questions and we'll talk. I can't wait to help you love the body that you live in. Have an amazing, amazing day.